What's up, self-healers? Lisa Lightfeather here. Welcome to my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Today, I wanted to come on and have a bit of a conversation with my fellow Generation Xers. Yeah? So, Generation X was born between, for those who don't know, right? Generation X was born between the baby boomers and the millennials, right? Generation X was referred to as the bridge generation. They were also referred to as the forgotten generation and the silent generation. Well, it turns out that we're not so silent after all. Generation Xers are playing a vital role in the awakening of the planet. The Generation Xer empath is playing a vital role in the awakening of the planet. The Generation X's narcissists are playing a role as well. But today we're speaking about the role of the Generation X empath and how they are assisting in the global awakening of the planet. So Generation Xers, like I said, were born between the baby boomers and the millennials. The baby boomers is a generation that they endured tremendous child abuse. They endured tremendous, you should be seen and not heard type of energy. And so children weren't really seen. A lot of times children were created to help, to be helpmates, to work the farms and to, do the work within the family. They weren't really born because people were excited about it. A lot of baby boomers didn't really use the concept of birth control methods and things of that sort. So they were born during a time where there was no standard with parenting. It was just the bigger the family, the better, because the more hands, the better, right? And they are the parents of Generation X, which is my generation. Now, Generation X, the baby boomers were they started all the going to work and women going to work and things of that sort. And so Generation X was born. They were also referred to as the latchkey generation, where we had to raise ourselves. We were the first generation that raised ourselves. We were the first generation that poured our own cereal. We were the first generation that lived on berries and played in the creek all day, and didn't come home till the street lights came on. So we were like one of the first generations that were kind of free and independent in our childhood. But what comes along with being free and independent in your childhood is that you don't get the love, the nourishment, the care, the guidance, the looking after. Right? And so we had to learn through trial and error. Because we weren't the generation that came home to our parents. We were the generations that came home to an empty household. We were also the generation that was parentified, which means that we were more of the generation that was taking care of the parent than the parent taking care of us. And now, mind you, we were raised by baby boomers. When child abuse, when beating a child with an iron or a stick or anything you can get your hands on was considered legit. And so these were our parents. And so we got some of that energy as well. Go out there and get your own switch. And don't you come back with nothing little. You come back with something little, they go out there and get 4 or 5 of them little ones and braid them together and beat you with it. We come from the generation where being beat with a fan belt is a device that's in a car. It's a piece of like tire-like leather, was legitimate. Being beat with the coat hanger or an extension cord was legitimate. So we come from a generation of abuse, like the generation before us, which was the baby boomers who were abused. And so they abused us. A lot of baby boomers are unfortunately narcissists because of the trauma that they had to go through their childhood. Now they brought this trauma over to the millennials, my generation. And so we had to go through those things as well. But the difference between the millennials, I'm sorry, Generation Xers, which is my generation, the difference between the Generation Xers and the baby boomers is that we are the bridge generation. And so we have one foot in both worlds. We have the foot in the world of the abuse and domestic violence, and all of these things are just considered the way things are. Everything's nobody keep what goes on in the house stays in the house, right? And we have the other foot in the generation of the global awakening, the age of information, the age of knowledge. So the millennials can Google what it means to be in an abusive home. But Generation X has lived it. Generation X is the bridge generation where we walk in both worlds. A lot of Generation Xers are very shamanic. When we went through our first Saturn return between the age of 27 and 30, that's when the age of the internet started coming out. So at our first Saturn return, your first Saturn return is your rites of passage into adulthood, right? Between 27 and 30, the internet was coming out. So the awakening was happening in our first Saturn return. In our second Saturn return, which is between the ages of 56 and 60, it's the global awakening, the mass awakening. Babies are born awakened. And although they are born awakened, right? They hadn't lived in both worlds. So this is the benefit of Generation X. We have the knowledge of both worlds. And we bring that knowledge to the forefront. Because Generation X are the true generational curse breakers. We are the true cycle breakers. Because we lived the cycle of the baby boomers. And we decided that it stops with us. And so we tried to do something different with our children. Were we perfect? No, we weren't. But we tried to do the exact opposite of what our parents did to us. That was all the information we had. Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be a good parent because I haven't had a good parent. But if I do the exact opposite, then maybe I'll be a good parent. And so we did the exact opposite. Now, some of us were helicopter parents. We just don't put this helmet on, put this bandage on, put these knee pads on. I don't want you to get a scratch on you. So we were overprotective. We were overprotective on different levels. I don't want you to get a scratch on you. Or don't look at her, don't look at him, don't touch them. Because what we knew as touch was when we were being violated in Generation X as children. That's what we knew touch to be. We did things like, I'm not breastfeeding my child because anytime your body was touched as a Generation Xer, as an empath, black sheep, scapegoat Generation Xer, anytime your body was touched, it was in regards to someone using you to their benefit. And so we didn't really touch our children. Because our concept of touch was distorted by the previous generation. And by the previous generation. And so although we stepped out on the whole thing that I'm going to do the exact opposite of what my parents did, the empath stepped out, I'm going to do the exact opposite of what my parents did. Because we didn't have a rule book. We didn't have the internet. We couldn't look it up, right? And so we had to figure it out on our own. And so we made massive mistakes. But the intention of us saying that we don't want to be like our parents, we want to do something different with our children, that in itself was a generation cycle breaker. I want to do something different. I want to see something different in my children. So we see what our parents did, we see the mistakes that we made, and now we're grandparents. I'll drink to that. So Generation Xers come with massive knowledge. They've seen what their parents did. They see the mistakes that they made with their children, although they put forth their best effort with little or no information to go off of. And now they see their grandchildren. And they have the opportunity to take all of that knowledge, right, into their second Saturn return between the age of 56 and 60. Your second Saturn return is, and that is your rites of passage into eldership. What are you going to do with it? Generation Xers have tremendous knowledge, and it turns out that they're not the silent generation after all, that we have something to share, that we play a big part in this global awakening. And if you're blessed enough to see your grandchildren go into adulthood, you'll see the results of all of the trauma, all of the pain that you went through. You'll be able to see the results of healing yourself, taking all that knowledge that you have and putting it into effect. You'll be able to see the results in your grandchildren. Will you be perfect? Probably not. Probably not. But you don't want to sit back and say, oh, I don't have anything to offer to society. You have tremendous knowledge to offer to society. Not only do you have experience, but you have the age of information. Not only do you have the age of information, but you are part of the massive spiritual awakening where you have the maturity to receive the downloads from your higher self, from spirit. Where you are mature enough to recognize your spiritual gifts and use them with wisdom. Generation Xers have tremendous knowledge, tremendous experience, and they have a whole lot to give back to society. So I wanted to come on today and encourage my fellow Generation Xers to step out, to find your spiritual gifts, to share the knowledge that you have, because the knowledge that you have can't be Googled. It can't be Chat GTP or GP. Yeah. It can't be found because the knowledge that you have has to be lived, and you have lived it. Remember that you are the bridge generation. You are the gap closer. You are the one that brings the trauma from the past and what could potentially happen in the future. And you are the one that says, it stops with me. So I want you to be encouraged today, as most of you go through your second Saturn returns, that you have a mission. Until the day you take your last breath, you have a mission within this global awakening, and you are a vital part of it. You are a key part of it. And sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your spiritual gifts, the downloads that you receive on a daily basis, the dreams that the prophetic dreams that you receive on a daily basis, the vivid dreams, the astral projections that you travel on, and the information that you bring back, your soul's journey. It's all good information. And there's a whole generation of millennials. Generation Z that are ready to hear what you have to say, because what you have to say matters. Thank you for tuning into my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment and hit that bell notification if you're really feeling my vibe so that you know the next time that I upload. We'll see you later. Happy Saturn return.